All right, last week we started our Fear series, and we talked about transformation we have through the life and blood of Jesus Christ to save us from the wrath of God's eternity. That just feels good, right? Everybody feel okay about that one? Yeah? Yeah? Yep. I would hope so. That's pretty positive. Through the perfect love of God, right? Remember perfect love? Cast out all fear. We have had our fear forever cast out and cast away from us. You're still doubting that. You've not been transformed by the perfect love of Jesus Christ. You've been talked into church. You've been talked into faith, but you haven't been really transformed into faith. And that's kind of the big thing. So the reality is Christians shouldn't be walking around doubting their eternity. Christians shouldn't be walking around worried about their eternity. We should be walking around with confidence and knowing that we have been changed by the blood of Jesus Christ. And that transformation comes. This is the foundation for everything we're going to discuss. So if you're struggling with step one, the reality is a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be pretty irrelevant, because we are looking at fear through the Bible and through the teachings of Jesus and through the way the Word is written. So if you're still doubting the truth of that, this is not a Tony Robbins seminar. Okay, does everybody understand that? Tony Robbins is a good guy, but does everybody understand that? That this is not power and positive thinking. This is not you can overcome your fears by chanting to yourself 5 times that I am an unvaluable person. I can do this. Okay, everybody good? All right. So we're going to take a look and continue moving through. Everybody remember the memory verse? Everybody go and memorize it? That's right. This is Sunday school. Turn to the person next to you and read that verse. Right now, quick, go. Done, close your eyes and recite it now. Everybody good? Here's our perfect love ball here. Jesus. Something about Jesus. So therefore, all right. So my goal is for all of you to have genuinely taken this verse to heart before we call this series a day. Okay? So I would like all of you to be able to recite it. To be able to know it, to be able to gain control of it in your lives and understand it. So everything we kind of do goes around what John was talking about in this letter.
Will there be an
At the end of the series, I'm going to call randomly 4 of you from the audience to come up and recite.
We get candy.
We get candy twice?
Candy.
That's right. Each of you gets a little flannel piece. So by the way, and I'm not going to tell you when the end of the series is. Could be next week. Could be 2 after. All right, so last week I gave you a list of questions, things we're going to be discussing, things we're going over. And one of the most interesting questions I really felt like in taking a look at this idea of fear and how we as Christians should view it is the first question that I told you about last week was, how should we as Christians have our approach and our view in the presence of fear? Okay, and the second part of that is, should Christians even feel fear at all? Fear is an interesting emotion. And we talked a lot about defining fear last week, and we had a very large kind of build-up and understanding of it. The presence of fear is an emotion that I think a lot of times you will have people in your life, faith-filled people, that will tell you shouldn't have that. That because you are a Christian, because you have your eternity locked up, because you have your forever taken care of, that you really shouldn't feel fear. That Christians should be just so excited and so enthusiastic about what's going on because of what Jesus did that they shouldn't feel fear. So we're going to talk about how we should approach, how our view should be about fear. But first we're going to kind of deal with, should we even feel fear at all? Isaiah 41 says, "Fear not, for I am with you." Everybody know this verse, right? So it was a really good chorus in youth ministries all around the country in the 90s. "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Isn't that a great verse? No? Yeah. You guys like that? Yeah, that's cool. Hurry up, it's 1 o'clock. The idea is this verse is an interesting verse because one of the things when you're reading the Bible that's very important is understanding verse structure. Okay? So we're going to talk about a number of verses today that have this exact same structure over time. Because it's not as simple as fear not, don't have any fear, you're a Christian, I got your back. Because this idea of having the biggest guy in the room, have your back is kind of a nice thing and makes you walk with a slightly more exaggerated strut, right? You're not worried about what environment you're walking into when, Hulk Hogan's with you. Because it's dropped a big leg, right? It'll be game over. No wrestling fans for you? Iron Sheik? No? But this idea of having the big guy with you should, in a weird way, give you this bravado, this confidence, this understanding of you're not going to lose. Except that if you look at the way this verse is structured, he says, fear not, for I am with you. And he says, be not dismayed, for I am your God. And then he talks about the whole point of the verse, which is, I will strengthen you. Now, why would you need strength? Because you're doing something. Because you need strength to accomplish the task. He says, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. He does not say at any point in time in that verse, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Does he? He says, I will give you the tools necessary to take care of it. He says, I will help you take care of it. There's no need to fear because I got your back. But guess what? You still have to participate. He acknowledges that there's a presence of fear in the hearts of those who are hearing the message at this point. Because remember, this is Isaiah talking. Fear has always been an emotion in the hearts of humanity that God acknowledges without animosity. This is an interesting thing because I think we're kind of taught that fear is a bad thing. That fear is a big no-no in the church. But the reality is that God kind of deals with fear a lot and never seems to get that angry with it in the hearts of people who just are dealing with it in ignorance. What I mean by that is, we need reminders, right? Motivation. We need motivation. How many of you guys need motivation just to get here today? Right? Let's be honest. Thank you, Chris, for being an upright, integrous man. The reality is we need motivation. Mark Twain said motivation is like a shower, right? They don't last. You got to take one every day. The truth is, you have to be remotivated a lot. We need motivation. You need a good halftime speech sometimes in your life. You need somebody to tell you got to keep moving. And so, this is one of those things where God says, listen, I understand fear is a part of who you are as human beings. Fear is a part of who you are. We are going to struggle with insecurities, fear, shame, reputation. And he doesn't say that I'm going to turn you into something superhuman, that I'm going to change what you are. He says I'm going to overcome your fear by helping you accomplish it. Now, how many of us can remember things in our lives where maybe we were scared at first, but then the more we did it, the fear goes away, right? Public speaking for some people, first time you do it, you're pretty sure you're going to die. And then after a while, you don't even prepare. Right? That was youth ministry. You're like, why should I go to the sermon all the way up there to the pulpit? That's just because you're so full of the Spirit. Full of something. The idea is that we have certain things that are a little bit terrifying. I remember the first time I talked in front of a large audience. I was picked to be one of the speakers for my 6th grade class. It was a Trinity Christian Church on Madison Avenue in Sacramento, and I got up to speak, and there must have been 18,000 people in the crowd, at least. If there was one, there were 15,000. And I was terrified, 6th grade. I got up there and I started talking, and I was all, okay, I'm done. And I froze up halfway through the thing, because I started realizing how many people that were staring at me, right? And it really scared me. I'm not really all that stressed about it. So what God's saying is I will strengthen you, but I also want you to remember that I helped you along the way. I want you to learn. I want you to gather some confidence. I want you to understand it. I'm not going to make you superhuman drones. Okay? You're going to feel emotion. Here's an interesting thing. Jesus says, this is the Great Commission, which we've all read 16,000 times. But it's interesting. Think of structure. Think of the structure. He says, go therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things I have commanded you. Now, is Jesus giving them something to do? Yes. Is it a rather large task? Go and make disciples of everyone? There's going to be some work involved. Right? Teaching people to observe anything requires work. Right? So, this is a large task. And the way that Jesus ends it is a way that's similar to Isaiah 41. He says, and lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Now, why would Jesus end this command for this insane task? This insane task. Anybody who's ever tried to share their faith once Okay? Ever. Notice how hard that is. Go get everybody? Yes. I can't even get the guy at Starbucks to listen to me. Right? We understand fear. We've been judged. We've dealt with it. And Jesus says, but lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. The structure is the same as Isaiah 41. Now, there's two reasons that Jesus says that. Two possibilities, right? The one possibility is, hey, I'm watching. Right? I'm looking over your shoulder, though I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Don't think you're going to fool me. Right? That's one possibility. If you just disregard everything else Jesus ever said. That could be a possibility. Right? We all know that that's not the way Jesus operates, right? The second possibility is what? I know it's going to be difficult. I know you're going to feel isolation. You're going to feel fear. I know that there is strength in numbers. How many of you prefer to go into the scariest parts of your life with someone alongside? Right? Most of us don't, if we hear a rustling in the bushes outside the house, we don't go out there, we send our, we like to go out there in a team. Right? One with a bat, one with a pitchfork, whatever. For those who have pitchforks. The idea is that we don't like the idea of dealing with things that are scary and terrifying by ourselves. We prefer someone to be there with us. We like the idea of not being isolated. Even those of us who are the most antisocial prefer to deal with things in numbers. So Jesus says, listen, I am well aware of the fact that you are going to deal with an impossible task. You are looking at something that should be scary and overwhelming, but you're not doing it by yourself. He acknowledges the fear. And like I said, I've always thought that even to the end of the age is one of my favorite parts of this, because, the disciples had to be under the impression Jesus was coming back in like 8 minutes. Right? Going to heaven, back in 5. Fantastic, we'll wait here. But when Jesus says, lo, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age, they all had to go, the what? End of the age, is that 5 minutes? 5 minutes, is that an age? But the reality is he understands it. Now, let's not forget that Jesus, with this whole event, this whole lifetime, takes place just before the massacre and the martyrdom of the early church. Christians started running around evangelizing, doing all the stuff he asked them to do, and then they ended up what? In the Colosseum. They ended up getting slaughtered. He is well aware of the fact that I'm asking you to do something difficult that may seal your difficult end as a faith. So I'm telling you that you're not doing it alone. And then if you look a little further down in the New Testament, it says, now you have Paul talking to Timothy. Now Paul has commissioned Timothy to be a minister. And he says, as without ceasing I remember you in my prayers night and day, greatly desiring to see you, being mindful of your tears, that I may be filled with joy. When I call to remembrance the genuine faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother Lois, and your mother Eunice, and I persuaded is in you also. Therefore I remind you to stir up the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. Now Paul, if you continue to think about verse structure, this is much the same in what Isaiah said to Israel, that Jesus said to the disciples. Now you have Paul saying it to Timothy, which is what? I know the task is difficult, but God has not left you alone. That God has instilled within you His Holy Spirit, His power, His authority to deal with the crisis. And the crisis at this point is the church being a bit of a pain, which is really weird. And so what he has is he has this goal of instilling in Timothy this support of saying, listen, I am persuaded the gift of God is within you, resides within you, and know that you're not alone. Okay, so fear is an acceptable human emotion and thus an understood asset and obstacle to the work God has for His children. It is very important that we understand that fear is an acceptable human emotion. God never says fear is an unacceptable emotion. Fear serves value. But the problem is, as in with all human emotion, it can be both helpful